beautiful people, welcome to Farm to Fortune, where passion meets productivity in the world of farming. So in today's video is all about vlogging, because I'll be packing my orders with you and I want you to join me while I pack my orders. So I got this question that how do I freeze my chicken? That is, how do I get it into frozen chicken? And this is exactly what I use. I use a deep freezer to freeze my chicken. One thing about freezing your chicken is, and another person asked that, what do I use to pack my chicken? So I make use of this nylon. I use this nylon to pack my chicken. So one thing is that there are several methods you can actually use in freezing your chicken, and one is you can make use of a blast freezer. So blast freezer is very expensive, and then if you are starting small and you don't have money, you just have to settle for something like this, like a deep freezer. So blast freezer are freezers that will, that will blast your chicken, that will freeze it. It will be very frozen like stone within few hours, maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Your chickens are well frozen. But in this particular case, I'm using a deep freezer, and before my chicken gets frozen, it usually takes about 3 days before it gets frozen. So what I do is that immediately I process my birds. I cut them into cut 4. So one thing about cut 4 is that cut 4 makes it easier. That is, when I cut it into 4 pieces, it feeds faster than when I put one whole chicken into the freezer, because that time is going to take time before it gets frozen. And second thing I want to do is that anytime I'm putting my chickens into the freezer, I do not put it in the freezer with nylon. Yes, because this is not something that will freeze within hours. So those people that used to use blast freezer, before they put their chickens into the freezer, they normally put it into nylon. So not necessarily this nylon, they make use of something called the shrink wraps. So, but there are other people here that as well use some things like this. So when you use these shrink wraps in a blast freezer and your chicken is always frozen, it can stay in your freezer for up to like 1 year. So that's one sweet thing about using a blast freezer, because our chicken gets frozen easily. And for those of us that uses this freezer, that is, we use a deep freezer like this, one thing is you just want to ensure that to sell your chickens within the space of 3 months. And then as a commercial broiler farmers, what will chickens be doing in your freezer for 3 months? Because if you want to like sell them off, and you'll be having another production maybe in another 4 weeks or 6 weeks maximum. So you know that you don't want to keep that here. And the people you are selling to, they as well sell this chicken off within the space of 2 weeks. So you can be rest assured, if you are just starting, you can always start with a deep freezer. That is, if you do not have the money to start. And another thing I do is that I do not stock up the whole of my freezer. That is, I do not stock up the whole of my freezer, like filling it up. What I do is that I just leave it like maybe half of the whole freezer. So let me show it to you. So this is what my deep freezer looks like. Can you see? So these are chickens in here, and I'm ready to like pack this chicken. As you can see that these chickens are not inside nylons. These chickens, they are not inside nylon, so they are here. Can you see? This is what it looks like. And what I'll be doing right now is that I'll just be packing this into 5 kg packs before I deliver them to my customers. So can you see, this is how it looks like, and it gets frozen within 48 to 72 hours. Can you see? Can you hear that sound? That it is well frozen. It is well frozen. So this is what I'll be doing today, and I'll be packing my orders. So guys, pack orders with me. These chickens right here, I think they are about 70 kg or thereabouts. I'm not sure. So let's pack together. Let's pack together. I'm making use of this scale. So I'm making use of this scale, and I'll be packing these in 5 kg. So let's pack. These are cut 4. So this is a breast. This is one breast. This is another breast. This is another breast. And then we have laps. This is what our laps looks like. These are laps. Can you see it? These are laps. And you don't have to weigh these to give us 5 kg. So what we normally do is that we mix the two together. We mix both the breast and the lap together to give us exactly what we want. And that's exactly what I am doing right now. I'll try as much as possible to weigh 5 kg of this chicken. So before I supply it to my customers. So one thing is when using a deep freezer, ensure that you are not slaughtering all your birds and putting everything inside. Because currently I still have about 30 pieces of my broiler chickens that I'll be processing tomorrow when I'm not supplying this. And by Monday, those ones too will be ready for supply. That is how we roll it here using a deep freezer. So but if you have money to actually invest in buying a glass freezer, go ahead. So glass freezer should cost between 7 million to 35 to 40 million depending on the size you are getting. So but for a freezer, you can always get something. Okay, this right here is 4 kg. So I'm going to close this and so can you hear the sound? It's well frozen. Can you hear that? It is all frozen. This is how we do it. This is how we roll. This is how we do it. This is how we roll it. So this is one complete sale. That's 4 kg. Now we're adding 1 kg. Okay. And this right there is 5 kg. So this is one part here. I will set this aside and I will have to arrange everything in 5 parts. So before I start to supply those people that will be needing it. So this is a 5 kg pack of our frozen chicken. This is how we deliver it to our customers. Can you see? So we do that for all the chickens until the freezer becomes empty. And here's another 5 kg. So like I said the other time that it is always advised if you are using a freezer that you do not put everything. That you do not put your chicken inside the nylon before putting it in the freezer. This is to avoid freezer burn. When you put your chicken inside the nylon, like in the nylon, after you process it like this and you put it in the nylon like this before putting it in your freezer, it might cause what we call freezer burn. Because you see this nylon, they actually secrete certain chemicals. But those people that are using black freezer, this is something that will freeze those chickens within hours. So they can use nylon, but for you that will be using freezer, do not try it because your freezer is not going to freeze your chicken in 6 it can freeze your chicken in 6 hours. That is if you are not doing much. Maybe you just have maybe 5 pieces, 10 pieces. It can actually freeze. This deep freezer will freeze your chicken within 10 hours or 12 hours. It is frozen. That is if you are not doing much. But if you have much inside, like this freezer now, like the ones I'm packing now should be around 70 kg or thereabout. So it fills the half of the freezer. That is, this freezer can take up to 100 kg or up to 150 kg rather to 200 kg of frozen chicken. But I do not want to risk that because I don't want to risk it. So 1 kg of chicken is currently selling for at supply rate at 4,200 naira. You can do that calculation with 70 kg. Now imagine me risking putting 150 kg inside. I do not want to risk that because the money is quite much. That's over 600,000 naira. So if it takes me 3 days to actually freeze this size, that is 70 kg, if I'm putting more, you can imagine it's going to take even longer period for it to get frozen. And we know that we're in Nigeria where light is not really stable. Even with this, I have a solar that I use as a support system. Like currently now, my solar is on and it is what we don't have light. So when they bring light, we have to switch it back to NEPA lights here in Nigeria. So one thing is advisable is that do not stock up the full freezer. You can just stock up maybe half of it so that it can get frozen within 48 to 72 hours. That is why I used to like process my birds bit by bit. I still have like 30 pieces left on my farm, and I'll be doing the last one. Those 30 pieces, I'll be processing them tomorrow, and by Monday they should be ready for supply. And I might even sell them at my own shop. So let's continue packing. So that is how we do it. You just have to improvise. You cannot afford a blast freezer. Blast freezer is very, very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. So this will definitely work. And the chickens are well frozen. You can hear the sound. They are well frozen. So, and another thing I want to add is that this freezer is quite new. I got this freezer around April or May this year. It is less than 6 months. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay, it is even 7 months, and it's working perfectly. So if you have old freezer, and this is a thermocool inverter freezer. So if you had old freezers that are maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they might not give you that fast freezing compared to this one. So if you are using old freezer, it might can take maybe 48 hours before it freezes. Yours might take even longer days. Sure you get. There are so many things you have to put into consideration before you do this. So when you start your own using freezer, you will learn along the line. This is what I need one more. One. What's happening? What is this happening? So this right here is 5 kg. Ooh. This right here is 5 kg. I'll just pause this video and do the rest before showing you the rest. So let me just pause this. So guys, right now we are done packing, and the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be packing these into my fixed sack. So you don't throw away your fixed sacks. You better use them to pack your litters, or use it to pack your goods. So yeah, the chickens, these are 5 kg. The next thing I'll be doing is I'll try and confirm the weight if it is truly 5 kg. So what I'll be doing is I'll be placing one of these on the scale. So that's correct. And then I'll go ahead and put this in the sack. So that's how we do it. Then we supply. This right there is 20 kg. Yeah, can you see this is 20 kg? And I'll move on to the next one. So I still have some. Yeah. For watching my vlog for today. So if you are just coming across this channel for the very first time, hit the subscribe button, turn on your bell notification so that you do not miss out when next we post. You can as well check our page, check our content. We have a lot of videos out there, especially for farmers who are just beginners, who are just starting or planning to start their own poultry farming, especially broiler farming, come 2026. I bet you my videos are really going to help you when you are starting your business. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.